This is Pondering from Proverbs, lesson 125, and we are taking a journey into attitudes, seeing from the instruction to the sun, attitudes that reveal heart issues. And so often we do not really catch that when we're looking at things, but often actions and words reveal the attitude of heart. So let's look at this. First of all, from the King James, Proverbs 17:11-17. An evil man seeketh only rebellion, therefore a cruel messenger shall be sent against him. Let a bear robbed of her whelps meet a man rather than a fool in his folly. Whoso rewardeth evil for good, evil shall not depart from his house. The beginning of strife is as when one letteth out water. Therefore leave off contention before it be meddled with. He that justifieth the wicked and he that condemneth the just, even they both are an abomination unto the Lord. Wherefore is there a price in the hand of a fool to get wisdom, seeing he hath no heart to it? A friend loveth at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. So let's look at this. Sorry. Let's go back up. Now, this lesson warns the son concerning attitudes that God has toward evil, and also describing the heart of the evil and the evil one's intentions. Pardon me. So let's look at the verse. Proverbs 17:11. And an evil man seeketh only rebellion, therefore a cruel messenger shall be sent against him. The Young's literal translation, an evil man seeketh only rebellion, and a fierce messenger is sent against him. The concordant literal version, a rebellious man is seeking only evil, and a cruel messenger is sent to him. And then the Passion translation, rebellion thrives in an evil man, so a messenger of vengeance will be sent to punish him. Each of these speaks of attitude. And I believe that one of the things God is trying to teach the son, or the tutors and governors and the father are trying to teach the son, are baseline attitudes for discernment. And because it isn't like most folks would talk about discernment, we often don't catch that. But let's look at this again. Let's see what the Lord caused me to draw out of these verses. First of all, Proverbs 17:11, an evil man seeketh only rebellion, therefore a cruel messenger shall be sent against him. This indicates that what we seek reveals our heart. And we'll talk about this in one of the later lessons. Therefore, what we seek revealed, in this case, an evil heart. God is trying to expose the heart. And a lot of that is going on in the earth today. God is exposing the hearts of man. You see, when God brings judgment, there's going to be no excuse, because each man will be dealt with and his heart attitude exposed, first of all, to him. God does it in private first. Then if he doesn't hear, he begins to open the door and let others see. It seems to indicate also that the law of sowing and reaping reveals something about rebellion. Because he sows seeking rebellion, cruelty will be what he reaps, because In rebellion, there is cruelty. Rebellion is a component of cruelty. This is indicated by what God sent against him because of his rebellion. Now, let's look at something that speaks to the nature of rebellion. Because often we don't hear or fully see what all this means, both in how this is produced, in what cruelty produces, and the effects of all of that. So cruelty causes hardening of our hearts. Exodus 6 and 9. And Moses spake so unto the children of Israel, but they hearkened not unto Moses for anxiety or anguish of spirit and cruel bondage. They could not hear the voice of God because they had been under, for 400 years, they had been under cruel bondage. We don't very often think of that and all that that means, but it's important for us to catch it. Because God is after something in our hearts. He's after taking us into a new dimension, into a new place, and revealing more and more of how he sees things, of how his heart is towards a number of things. And of course, he recognized that Israel had to be convinced. Because you see, when Egypt or the world thinks they're losing something, they actually increase the bondage. They made the Israelis work without straw. Up until that time, they provided the straw. But Israel, as the slaves, now had to not only provide their own straw, but keep making bricks at the same rate. And that cruelty caused them to be unable, caused anxiousness or anxiety in not in their soul, although I'm sure it was there, but anxiety of spirit, which is a spiritual dis-ease and causes us to be unable to think clearly. But they also could not hear God because they were under cruel bondage. Cruelty hardens our hearing. Proverbs 17 and verse 12. Let a bear robbed of her whelps meet a man rather than a fool in his folly. Now, there's a parallel here. I want to, first of all, go to the comparative translations. Let a bear robbed of her whelps meet a man rather than a fool in his folly. The Young's literal, the meeting of a bereaved bear by a man and not a fool in his folly. The concordant literal, let a bereaved bear encounter a man, but certainly not a stupid person in his folly. In other words, he's drawing such a parallel. I remember walking the trails. We were out doing some trapping. I think it was trapping, but we were out and all of a sudden these cubs went across in front of us. And the young man that was with me, who knew the woods well, he said, "Don't move. Don't move." And shortly thereafter, Mama Bear came following the cubs. If I had have tried in any way to get between Mama and her cubs, I probably wouldn't be here today, because they are very, very protective of the cubs. And not only that, but when they are robbed of their cubs, their anger is fierce and very vindictive. Now, in the Passion Translation, it's safer to meet a grizzly bear robbed of her cubs than to confront a reckless fool. That's a phenomenal statement, isn't it? Now, there's a prophetic parallel drawn here that's sobering. We see the anger and fury of a bear seemingly robbed of her cubs in the incident where Elisha called judgment on the children that mocked him because of his bald head in 2 Kings 2:23. From the office of the proverbial or parabolic prophet comes a sobering parallel, saying that a fool, one who said in his heart there is no God, that a fool in his folly, or foolish still in his perverseness, is worse than meeting this bear. It does more damage in the spirit than the bear does in the natural. Prophetically, the bear is a symbol of Russia, and we have yet to see the fury under the surface that the bear has, and will probably watch her retake her cubs with fury when the stage is right. This could mean a seemingly weakened United States of America. And the reason I bring that up is because the sons need to know what's going to happen in the end time. And so there is a fury that the bear is waiting to release. And it's my, what do I call it, prophetic suspicion that Russia will try and retake all those nations that she lost, or her cubs. Now, Proverbs 17:13, whoso rewardeth evil for good, evil shall not depart from his house. Let's look at that in our other translations. There we are. Whoso rewardeth evil for good, evil shall not depart from his house. The Young's literal translation, whoso is returning evil for good, evil moveth not from his house. Concordant literal version, if one returns evil for good, evil shall not remove itself from his house. The Passion translation, the one who returns evil for good can expect to be treated the same way for the rest of his life. That's phenomenal, isn't it? It's sobering, but it's also phenomenal. So let's look at this further. Now, the warning to the sons is that when they come to the throne, they should reward good for good, and, if I could say it this way, evil for evil. Or no, pardon me, that they should reward good for good, and that they should do good unto those that despitefully use them. If they reward evil for good, they bring evil upon the whole family line. See, this is an indictment against those who come against the body of Christ and against Israel, as well as those nations that do good throughout the world, or those organizations that do good throughout the world. God will not be mocked. If someone is doing good and people come against them, then they're setting themselves up to be rewarded the same way. And evil will not depart from their house. There's much that could be said around this principle and illustrated in the current events today, but we just want to bring it to your attention because God is exposing the hearts of men and women today. And when we see evil rewarded for good, then we know that we're living in the last days, because Proverbs is a book of the last days. Proverbs 17:14. The beginning of strife is as when one letteth out water. Therefore leave off contention before it be meddled with. Let's look at several other versions here. In the Benton version, rightful rule gives power to words, but sedition and strife precede poverty. The Concordant Literal Version, the beginning of a quarrel is like opening up a dam of water. So before the contention rails, abandon it. The easy to read version, the start of an argument is like a small leak in a dam. Stop it before a big fight breaks out. Good News Bible, the start of an argument is like the first break in a dam. Stop it before it goes any further. The Jubilee version, to release the waters or to speak rashly is the beginning of a contention. Therefore, leave off strife before it gets started. And the WE version, the beginning of strife is like breaching a dam. Therefore, stop the contention before quarreling breaks out. Proverbs 13:10 says this. Now listen carefully. Only by pride cometh contention, but with the well-advised there is wisdom. In other words, the root of someone needing to be right. Now notice I said needing to be right is pride. The BBE version, the only effect of pride is fighting, but wisdom is with the quiet, notice here, quiet in spirit. The Darby version, or the DRB version, among the proud there's always contentions, but they that do all things with counsel are ruled by wisdom. Notice the different approaches of the translators here, and how the different translation of it actually gives a different aspect of it. It's not that it's one translation is right or wrong. It's because the wording used in the Hebrew has this variety of meaning that different aspects of the truth are revealed. They that do all things with counsel are ruled by wisdom. The Passion Translation, wisdom opens your heart to receive wise counsel, but pride closes your ears to advice and gives birth to only quarrels and strife. The WE version, pride only breeds quarrels, but wisdom is with people who take advice. Now, it's important that we realize the source of the need to argue and be right. It reveals a heart condition of pride. Now, it would seem the cure for a heart of pride is humbling oneself to take counsel. Oh, I wish we could hear that. Let's move on to Proverbs 17 and verse 15. He that justifieth the wicked, and he that condemneth the just, even both are an abomination to the Lord. This is a powerful admonition, and it's a warning to the sons to keep right priorities. Oh, I wish we could hear that. Defending the wicked, trying to make what they do appear to be the right thing, is an abomination to the Lord. And we see a lot of that today. Trying to justify wickedness, justify what the Bible calls sin with religious words and twisting the definitions. Listen, the true definition of any word is how God uses it in His Word. When we take that out and we begin to put man's definition in, we actually set ourselves up for falling and failure. Oh, I wish we could hear that. Now this brings one to the question concerning the abomination that maketh desolate, or the abomination of desolation. And we find reference to that in Daniel 12:11, Matthew 24:15, Mark 13:14, and Luke 16:15. And the question becomes, what is the abomination of desolation? And there will be a man, let me make this clear, there will be a literal man in the end time that stands and manifests the head of that. Okay? But there is a corporate body called the children of the wicked one that are the corporate body of the man of sin or the abomination of desolation. Now, because the sons will need to know this, is there a key that will help us recognize its rise at the end of the age? I believe there is. Well over 30 years ago, God gave me a key. Well, let's see, back in the 70s. So that's that's well over 30 years ago. And at the time, I tried to preach it. Thank God he gave me enough discernment that when I saw the people begin to wilt, I changed. I moved on to something different that would lift them and build them up. You see, there are some truths that are heavy, and people are not ready to receive them, not because they don't want truth, but because there has to be a certain condition in their heart and mind and spirit to be able to receive some truths. But and sometime later, like, let's see, it was in the late 90s, God gave me some liberty to write on this in one of my courses, but still not the fullness of it, okay? The key to understanding the abomination is as follows. All things that God calls an abomination are found in the character and nature of this man of sin, the abomination of desolation. Now, number 3, and let's keep looking at this. The condemning of the just is currently happening, as well as it is part of the rise of the nature of the abomination of desolation, the man of sin. 2 Thessalonians 2:3. The man of sin is the head of the corporate body in the end time, called the children of the wicked one, from Matthew 13:38. The prominence of the rise of this attitude in the world is an indication that we're at the end of this age, and that the abomination that makes desolate is getting ready to appear on the scene. His children, the children of the wicked one, are beginning to manifest the nature of their father, the wicked one. Remember what Jesus said to the Pharisees. He said, "You are of your father, the devil, and you manifest his nature and character." Now let's look at Proverbs 17:16. Wherefore is there a price in the hand of a fool to get wisdom, seeing he hath no heart to it? Hidden in this passage are 2 heart issues. Foolishness is a heart issue. The despising of wisdom is manifest because the fool despises wisdom. And second of all, wisdom is a heart issue. Proverbs 23:15, my son, if thine heart be wise, my heart shall rejoice, even mine. Proverbs 23:15. I don't know why I put that in there the second time, but that needs to be, maybe it's just for emphasis, okay? If thine heart be wise. If thine heart be wise. Let me look at that. Let's look at this in the Passion Translation. I believe it shows us something that is important for us to hear. Where'd he go? Sheesh. Where'd he go? There we are. Yeah. Here we are. Sorry about that, folks. My beloved child, when your heart is full of wisdom, my heart, this is the Father speaking. When your heart is full of wisdom, my heart is full of gladness. When I seek wisdom, it gladdens the heart of the Father. Oh, I wish we could hear that. Oops. Proverbs 17:17. A friend loveth at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. Oh my. Oh my. There are some places I could go with that, but I'm not going to. A friend loveth at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. I want to take some time on the friend. And the reason I want to do that is because, again, we want to define it according to Scripture. Hidden in this passage is a key to discernment. Now, first of all, I want to take this chart and I want to look at it briefly because we need to see that there's a processing to maturity. God is endeavoring to bring a people into full maturity. And so there are steps of maturity. There's the servant, a child. It differs nothing from a servant, though he be Lord of all, Galatians tells us. So when we look at the servant, we have within it two dimensions. We have the servant and the disciple. Jesus said in John 15, he said, I no longer call you servants, but I call you friends. And so they were already disciples, and they had come through the first two realms, the servant realm, which knows not what the Lord does, and the disciple realm. They were beginning to learn to bear the cross, continue in the word, and bring forth fruit. But then the step just before fully matured sonship is the step of the friend. And John 15:15 speaks to that. And then 1 John 3:2 says, Beloved, now are we the sons of God, but it doth not yet appear what we shall be. And I think there's a sense in which that is saying that although we are already sons, we are positionally sons, the fullness of all that means and what it really speaks to has not yet been fully seen. It doth not yet appear what we shall be. Then you have in John 15:3-5, John 15:13-15, the whole context of friend. Proverbs 17:17, a friend loveth at all times. Proverbs 18:24, he who would have friends must show himself friendly. And then James talks about Abraham being a son of God, or a friend of God. And on his journey to becoming a full-fledged son. So, the power of love is found in a friend. Let's go there. The power of love is found in a friend. He or she is able to love at all times in all situations. In developing the thoughts on friends from Jesus' statement, this is a key to understanding true friendship. In John 15:14, you are my friends if you do whatsoever I've commanded you. Henceforth, I call you not servants. For a servant knoweth not what his Lord doeth. But I've called you friends, for all things that I've heard of my Father, I've made known unto you. So all of the passages in Scripture on friends would apply here, and how men and women became friends of God. Studies in the lives of Enoch, Abraham, Moses, and David would be in order, with the emphasis on the progression of their relationship with God. Friend is not a position, but a relationship. It's the final step before becoming a mature son of God. And here we have this, again, we want to just emphasize this. In John 15:15 and 1 John 3:2. There we are living in a time when the message on sons of God and becoming son through relationship is coming to the fore. And yet we do not fully understand it, because I believe there's a revelation of relationship yet to come, and a releasing of a grace to come into that relationship and that level of maturity. And we talked about the context and read that verse, and it's important for us to catch what God is really saying here. Now, grasping these instructions to the Son are vital as a company of people, allowing God to grow them up into the company of sons, that the earth is groaning and travailing to be brought forth. Romans 8:19-23. Let's go back up here. For the earnest expectation of the creature waiteth for the manifestation of the sons of God. For the creature was made subject to vanity, not willingly, but by reason of him who subjected the same in hope. Because the creature itself also shall be delivered from the bondage of corruption into the glorious liberty of the children of God. For we know that the whole creation groans and travails in pain together until now. And not only they, but we ourselves also, which have the first fruits of the Spirit, even we ourselves groan within ourselves, waiting for the adoption, to wit, the redemption of our body. How important it is for us to recognize this truth and allow God to bring us into that dimension. I remember one day God and I were having a discussion, and by the way, he always wins the discussions, but sometimes it's an intense discussion because I don't understand. And God is not upset with me not understanding. He wants me to understand, as long as I don't come to him with an argumentative spirit, but with the heart of a son to know the heart of his father. So, as we were having that discussion, there was a cry in my heart that said, God, I want to understand. I want to understand what you're saying. I want to understand how to become a son. And then he spoke to me, he said, Bill, if the whole earth is groaning and travailing for the manifestation of the sons of God to be brought into the glorious liberty of the children of God, don't you think you ought to begin to ask me to show you how to enter into that travail, so you align yourself with creation, but also align yourself with the heart of the Father. And let me deal with you to take out of you what keeps you from coming in to that glorious liberty, and thereby keeps creation from coming into that glorious liberty. People, there will be a people that come into this. It's not a possibility. It's not a maybe. It is an absolute truth that God is going to bring a people there. Here's the reality. I need to ask God to work in me such a work that only yielding to Him will bring me to. He said He could do it. He who hath begun a good work in you is well able to perform it until the day of Jesus Christ, until the day of the manifestation of Jesus Christ in a people and in the earth, in His fullness and glory. Father, only you can bring us there. Somehow imprint this on our spirit, I pray, in your precious name. Amen.